Okay, recording this video on Saturday, the 8th of March 2025, just gone 7:45 p.m. Chicago time. Do hope you are doing well. So it's the weekend, time for another weekend futures market recap, where I go through 15 of the largest futures markets and I show you what I'm seeing on my charts. And the first thing I'd like to say is a huge thank you. Thank you to all of the watchers and followers of Emini-Watch. Thank you for just being good people, not tearing me to shreds after last weekend's video where I was convinced the low was made on the Friday. We were going to test, but I thought that was like a significant turning point. And everybody just let me do my thing, talk to my charts, and you didn't criticize or tell me what an idiot I was after this week's activity. So thank you for that. Thank you for just being good people out there. I really appreciate it. I suppose all I'm doing is just reacting to my charts, showing you my thinking. I have two problems trading. One is I'm always way too early getting into trades. I find it exciting, and I'd rather go through the volatility being in early than trying to pick my trade later on. So that's a weakness that I have. The other one is over trading. I probably put in too many day trades when I'm day trading the Emini. But being early is, that is the problem. I was seeing a setup last weekend that really wasn't there, and so we're going to talk about the difference between last Friday and this Friday with this week's activity. So again, thank you. I love you guys. I hope your trading is going well. Let's talk to some charts. Oh, before charts, I'm going to show you this. As you might know, we're in Kauai, on the island of Kauai, northernmost island in Hawaii. And went out to the car this morning, and here we go. This was a praying mantis right on the driveway by the car. I've never seen one. I didn't even know they were here in Hawaii. But isn't that a beautiful thing? The back of it looks like a leaf. It's actually quite a long little insect, but there it is, praying away. Just extraordinary. Anyway, there we go. Beauty of Mother Nature. Let's talk about the E-mini. So, a few things to say. First of all, there's been a data correction in certainly the TradeStation daily data, and we've ended up with this on the Better Pro-Am chart. This is a bump that we had. This did not exist last weekend with last weekend's video. Let me just pull up the images. So here we go. This is from actually two weeks ago, 23rd of February's video, and this is what Better Pro-Am looked like on the daily chart. Nice stair-step trade here. No blue professional bar here, no little zigzag pattern there. It looked really nice. And then on Better Sine Wave, we also had a really neat little pullback to end of trend there. So this week, with some adjustments to TradeStation data, we now have a little bit of a wrinkle in here where we have blue professional bar popped up, and so it's caused Better Pro-Am to trail up, get broken, and then get broken back into continuation of an uptrend. So that's a shame. And also on this daily chart, the pullback to end of trend, yes, it's still a pullback to end of trend, but it's certainly not as neat and tidy as the other version of the chart. I've refreshed my data, and it's a data correction that's gone through TradeStation daily data of the E-mini. These things happen from time to time. Trading isn't a pure science. Data is useful, but really what we're doing is modeling emotions. And data does change. You have to be more of an artist than a scientist, I always think, with trading. So you have to adjust, go with the flow a little bit when these little glitches pop up. But interestingly, when you look at the @ES chart, which is day and night session, no such little wrinkle in here. So we've still got a neat little stair-step trade there. So daily chart of the ES, we're down at minus 6.5 million, which is a big read, coming very close to what we had at this little stair-step trade. The other thing that we've popped up with this week's activity, we've got 4 blue professional down bars, or bars on making new lows on this sequence here, and we didn't have that last weekend, and I did talk about it in the video, so it'd be nice to see a blue professional bar. Well, with this week's plumbing another 200 points to the downside, we have got blue professional bars step in. So it's a deep sell read on Better Pro-Am, and when this sequence is over, we'll stair-step that trade up, which is nice. And we've also got on this chart, the @ES, there we go, a little very pretty pullback to end of trend signal that's syncing up with cyclical resistance on the lowest time frame as well. So you can see there right at those highs, and we've broken with this week's activity into a downtrend here, sign of weakness. We've got white bars heading down because we broke support on the lowest time frame, and that was silly of me last week to say that with last weekend's activity, that when that support level came in, that would be important. We'd bounce from there. Not really, because we also need to play out the downward energy that comes from the intermediate time frame. And each of the time frames are more powerful the higher you go up. So a little bounce on the lowest time frame is not as important as a bounce on the intermediate time frame. And so we're overshooting at the moment, support on the lowest time frame, and we're waiting for support on the intermediate time frame to come in. And so we need these slightly thicker lines to come down to minus 100 cross, and that's a point where we might start to properly bounce. So that's a correction with the data that you'll notice on the TradeStation charts between at ES.D and at ES going forward. And I have shown this chart before, but I always find it interesting to look at each of the four major indices, the E-mini, the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the Russell, and the three major trading vehicles. You've got the futures market, you've got the index itself, which is made out of the retail trade, and then you've got the ETF. So for example, with the E-mini, we've got at ES for the futures market, dollar INX, which is the index data, and we've got SPY, which is the ETF, and we've got the same thing for the NASDAQ and for the Dow and for the Russell. This one is blank because I don't subscribe to the Russell data in order to get the index itself there. But there are effectively 12 different ways of looking at the market, and although the E-mini, the S&P 500, is the largest, the most important market, from time to time you get the Dow leading or the NASDAQ leading and so on, but the S&P sits in the middle there, is super liquid and doesn't get pushed around as much as the other markets. That's why it's the most important. But it's worth looking at the patterns on the different indices, ETFs, and futures markets, and this is the way I do it. I compare all of them, so I'm seeing all of those signals on both Better Sine Wave and Better Pro-Am there. So it doesn't look great on this little screen here, but these things pop up to be good charts. Interestingly, the Russell has been the weakest of the lot. Here we go. It's been showing weakness for the last 2 months, 3 months, but the Dow has been holding up. So even with this latest move down, it's not been quite as severe as the S&P, so that's interesting, whereas the NASDAQ has been a little bit of a deeper dive there. So there we go. Let's go down the time frames, and we still have some testing to do on the downside. We still have to put in some pullback to end of trends. But the good thing on the 135-minute chart here, the background's in blue, which means super high average trade size. There's the big pro bars coming in here. So that's good. That's showing similar to this sell-off that we had previously. Big pro bars coming in here. The momentum read now has turned positive, and although on Better Sine Wave we're still in downtrends, we've got to make pullback to end of trend at least on this lowest time frame, and syncing up with a cyclical support when these thicker lines come down and cross, and that'll be that intermediate time frame on the daily chart is the highest time frame on the 135-minute chart, if that makes sense. So we've still got to test into those. So I'd expect a little bit of a bounce after Friday's activity, but then coming into resistance on this chart and then pushing down to test finally into those lows until this thing is fully done on the downside. 45-minute chart as well, looking like even on this chart here, we had one little pullback to end of trend early on in the piece, and we pushed past. We've got to go see pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame on the 45-minute chart here. And what are we doing in terms of, big pro bars come in here with exhaustion sell, relief rally there. We've come back, positive move on a better momentum, but it's likely when we push down for that testing move that we'll go negative on better momentum on the 45-minute chart. Then the 15-minute chart, again, oversold on the downside. And we've got the blue professional bars coming in at the beginning of the week down here. It's not amateur down bars yet or Rambo patterns down here, but we've got to go push. This is looking a lot further away. This exhaustion sell is looking like it's getting the move going. So we might have to go look at one of those type of reads on the 15-minute chart in order to bottom this move. And then the 13,500 tip bar chart. Now, bear with me because we are going to be releasing the Better Squeeze part of the indicators. That's going to be very soon, so look for that in the next week or 10 days. We've got to add that to the installer, get it coded up for NinjaTrader as well. And so it's adding these extra components to this chart. It's showing us the squeezes, which are the cyan boxes here. It's showing us when the blue professional bars are making new lows and new highs down here, and it's also signaling the first sign of strength or sign of weakness after we have those big pro bars or pro bars at new highs and new lows. What I want to show you is the difference between this week's activity and last week's activity coming into Friday. So Friday last week we had a super strong rally, as we did on this Friday. This Friday's turn was almost exactly at 11 a.m. was the European window shut. We just rallied to the upside. I had a great trade. I think it was 88 points. But there was 100 or more points in that move, and I'll show you the setup for that. So this is last weekend's activity on the Friday. We seemingly bottomed down here. We've got a blue box, which is great. So that is blue professional bars at new lows, showing that the trend is likely to be over at that point. We then wait for a break of the trailing stop on Better Pro-Am, and then the first sign of strength, which is when we have a little bit of a break to the upside, a retrace, and we break back up. These signs of strength and signs of weakness get us out of a whole bunch of false signals. So for example here, yes, we have a break, the Better Pro line switches the other way, but we never break back up, so we never get a sign of strength like here or here. We just break back into a downtrend and we continue down. But what I want to show you here is from these lows, they have to match or mirror the highs. And at the highs, what we had in the previous week was, yes, we had professional bars at those highs. There's the blue box, pops up, but the background's in blue as well. And that means on the 13,500 tick bar chart, that's super high average trade size. This is the highest tick chart that I look at. And to have the background in blue and the bars to be blue, that means the average trade size is super high. And that means serious professional money getting out at that point. And so to mirror that, what we ought to have is the background in blue as well with this signal. And really with last Friday's trade at these lows, we didn't have exhaustion sell down here. We just had blue professional bars, and it caused a beautiful little rally. That would again was a 100-point rally into the close on the Friday, but it was not enough to end the move to the downside. And then with this week's activities, so we're just looking, remember the vertical yellow solid lines are the beginnings and the ends of the week. So the new week opens, we have exhaustion sell and bearish divergence, some blue professional bars at the highs up here, but not strictly speaking at the break highs. But we turn around there and we break into a downtrend. These blue professional bars are getting the move going here. Midweek we start to rally a little bit. I have a little bit of a counter trend move, but then we end up with blue professional bars at the highs, bearish divergence, and we break into a downtrend, and this is where we go to the reverse down here. So blue professional bars at the lows, there are the blue boxes sharp, and the background is in blue, showing us super high average trade size, mirroring that same activity that we had 2 weeks ago now. And this turn happened almost on the dot of 11 a.m. There's 11 a.m. We had a little bit of a test for a couple of minutes after 11 a.m. and then it just rallied to the upside. So I suppose no exhaustion sell signals on the downside, which is a weakness of this pattern, unfortunately. But that's important, and so that's where the big pros have decided to come back in to the market. So that's important on the 13,500 tip bar chart. In terms of sine wave patterns, a little bit going on here, but it was at those lows, a pullback to end of trend on the highest time frame, syncing up with a pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame there. We had our signs of strength, but then as soon as that signal came in, there we go, we went for our rally. And exact same signal popped up on the 1500 tip bar charts. We're going down, there's the low, 11 a.m. Big pro bars here. Blue boxes, sign of strength. We have a little bit of a test here, and then bang, we rally to the upside. And even on the 500 tip bar chart, here we go, there's the background in blue into this low. Big pro bars coming in here, trailing stop trails us all the way down. There we get our sign of strength. We have a little bit of a test down here, and then we start to rally, and that test was happening with a nice little pullback to end of trend. So it's when all the trending energy has been worked out. We've got all of our pullback to end of trend signals have gone through the time frames, the low, the intermediate, and the highest time frame. We've worked out all of that trending energy there. That's when the market can reverse and go the other way, when all of that has been worked out. So it was good signals on the lower time frames and an important signal on the higher time frame. So I think the story on the E-mini, we've got a test this week. That's an important low. Let's see if that holds and we get some exhaustion signals. So we could get some exciting moves to the downside in order to generate those exhaustion signals. Now, Forex charts, one of the most exciting weeks in Forex markets for a while. I want to refer back to the daily charts of Forex. At the end of year video that I did, I said, we could get a bounce in Forex because the Euro chart was looking interesting here. It was looking interesting because in terms of cycles, it had played itself out with this move, resistance to support down here, and things were looking interesting on the Euro chart, so on the daily chart here. And we've rallied from lows down here of just above 2 to almost 9 on the Euro. So that's a huge move. We've broken into an uptrend now on the Euro chart. I mean, there's some blue professional bars on the daily chart in the last 2 days. There could be some profit taking and some weakness from there, but that's really important. And it's set off with at the end of the year, big pro bars coming in on the daily chart down here. Then we fuss around, we finally break out of where those blue professional bars were active, bang, into an uptrend. And when you look at the 460-minute chart, so there are 3 460-minute bars in a day session of Euro futures. Here we go, there's the blue professional bars, beginning of February, signaling off these new lows with blue professional bars. Here we got our sign of strength, and then our signal comes in and the background's in blues. So that was a big move this week on the Euro. British pound, similar thing, talked about that. We were making at the end of last year Rambo patterns into those lows, and we pushed down, and then here we go, here are the big pro bars getting interested, and the pound has been the strongest of all of these currencies, which is interesting because economically the UK is not in a good spot. But anyway, powered ahead almost up to 29, 29 and a half possibly, up there from 22, so that's a big move. And when you look at it down on the lower time frame charts, here we go, big pro bars here at the beginning of the year, step in all those blue professional bars, we got our blue box, and then the first sign of strength that we get, bang, we got our signal, and it just raced away this week. So really nice moves in the longer time frame charts of the Euro, British pound particularly. But when you look down, let's go down to the tick bar charts now of these markets. We've run out of steam. So the beginning of the week, a solid yellow vertical line, end of the week. So this is the move. This week was huge, from 3.5 to almost 9. Here, there's our big pro bars coming in here, and we rally from there. Backgrounds in red, we're in an uptrend. We had our signal down here. But we're running out of steam a little bit. No blue boxes, no blue professional bars at the highs, no exhaustion buy at the highs yet. So I think we'll have another push back up, but it's for the time being. The big move was this week, I'd suggest. British pound, similar thing, beginning of the week. There's our signal, super big rally. There's the big pro bars getting involved at the end of last week. And we've not had a similar, blue professional bars at the highs up here. We've had exhaustion buy, bearish divergence. We're rolling over, a little bit of weakness coming in, maybe some profit taking at those highs on British pound, but the big move was this week. Aussie dollar, similar thing. The Aussies started to weaken already. So at the beginning of the week, there's our blue professional bars. We test with Rambo patterns. Rambo stands for a potential reversal of an amateur breakout, RANBO, and that's the amateurs getting wrong-footed, going short at that point. No, they get it wrong, rallies the other way, break into an uptrend. It's rolling over at the minute. We're in a downtrend or weakness at the moment on the Aussie dollar, so not as strong as the other ones. And Japanese yen also rolling over at the moment. Oops, what am I doing? This one this week, yeah, it was strong, but we've reached this inflection point where we're finding it difficult to get through. Here we go on better sine wave. All of these signs of weakness up these the highs. We've got resistance on this highest time frame, so the Japanese yen is starting to roll a little bit. Also got weakness in the 10 years as well. This week's activity, we made new highs. As you'd expect, as the market's selling off, we get a safety play, run to bonds, but as the equities market starts to strengthen or potentially strengthens, people are rolling out of bonds and into equities. So we'll see how this goes. Background's not turned yet into a downtrend, but let's see if we get a turn on the 10-year this week and we have equities rally properly. And gold continues, so this week's activity, again, we set off with nice signals at the beginning of the week. It's been a strong week in gold. No blue professional bars at the highs taking profits. They bought the little dip here, so we'd expect gold to continue to rally. Silver, a little bit of weakness this week. Yes, it broke into an uptrend. The background's in red, fizzled out with a Rambo pattern at the highs, come back down. I don't know, probably follow gold, but it's weaker than gold. It has been for a while. Bitcoin this week, yeah, we rallied from almost nothing over the weekend or Friday into the weekend. Not sure, it's 78. I mean, it was oversold here, but there was nothing to say it was going to rally at that point. Maybe there was on the better sine wave. Let's have a look. No, not particularly down here. But anyway, we rallied into blue professional bars up here. tested back up with Rambo patterns and we're rolling over. A Rambo pattern underneath the lip like this, that's not good. So we're weak on Bitcoin and waiting for the next spot where the blue professional bars step in. That could come with some bad news. We got to see big pro bars coming on Bitcoin. Crude weak this week. Not a lot of blue professional bars coming at the lows down here. Natural gas had a good week. Again, set off from a gap down on the Sunday night and it just set off to the upside. I don't know. I can't see much. There's no big pro bars to tell us what's going on, so don't have a good read on natural gas. Copper rallied this week, but into exhaustion patterns, blue professional up bars, and it's rolled over. We're in a downtrend on copper there. The background's in grey. Corn. So the ags had a nice week. I think all of them started to rally midweek. Blue professional bars coming at the lows. We set off to the upside and backgrounds in red. We're in an uptrend. These blue professional bars may be getting going, so that'd be interesting to break above 472. They're on corn. Soybeans, same thing. Blue professional bars at the lows here. We got a nice signal. Backgrounds in red. No blue professional bars taking profits yet. So soybeans in an uptrend. That's good. Wheat, same thing. Here's big pro bars come in here. Rallied from there. Blue professional bars, stair-step trade here on that little bit of weakness. And so all of the ags are rallying with the maybe not so quick to implement tariffs, I think. So there we go. This is going to be another exciting week this week. Let's see if equities test and hold. And Bitcoin's got to continue down until we get the next level that the professionals are willing to step back in. And the big moves in Forex that we had this week, maybe just going to have a little bit of a consolidation week in Forex, maybe not some big moves there. And again, a big thank you to all the subscribers and watchers of Emini-Watch. I do hope your trading is going well. So I'm looking forward to next week's trade. Should be exciting, and I hope you are too.